2021 is an improvement, and unfortunately they can't make enough material that his bike can't be upgraded, so he's going to be on the back foot all year, so have to put right for next season if they want to keep the talented Italian.
It sort of feels like it's almost the time bomb sort of ticking away, doesn't it? With back and put himself on the second row of the grid, but all the same, incredibly impressive. And look what he's doing with his arm right now.
Yeah, a lot of work. It'll be weaker. It's going to fatigue. So yeah, if he can get out of here with a top 10 result, it will be an unbelievable achievement. I think people who say no, until you get on these bikes, you just don't know what's going to happen. So it is the physicality of this track and the bikes, unbelievable.
Team Neil Hodgson and Gavin Emmett.
Thanks very much, Susie. A huge unknown ahead of us. 2 wins out of 2 so far for Yamaha. We're live and ready to go from Portimao. His career making him again the 7th different pole sitter in 7 Moto GP races. The Suzuki and Ducati alongside about what he can do today. He's only managed, as you see him working his arms there, 6 laps consecutively during the weekend. But days into Mark's comeback, haven't you, between the 2 world champions? A ton of pace further back on row 4 too. Oliveira winning. Ikelecona suffering after he also had arm pump surgery like Jack Miller. Taka Nakagami was a doubt as Michael. I will point out no Jorge Martin, as you've seen before. He is out and off to Barcelona for operations. But Neil, hard to call, isn't it? Because it's not.
As you can see, Marquez focusing on trying to relax his arm like a little bit. So he's the great unknown. 25 laps around this physical track. My honest opinion is, you don't have the strength. You don't have the strength, and he just doesn't have it.
But being Marc Marquez, you always fancy a bit of magic. That's the word on the conditions. It's a fantastic racetrack, but the pace hasn't been there this weekend. Temperatures up to 41 degrees track.
Very fast, but he's qualified 12th. Can he get a good start? What's going to happen with the Ducatis? It's going to be exciting, Gav.
We've got the closest ever MotoGP of 12 races on the continent, 25 laps of the Algarve International Circuit, and Fabio Quartararo's heart rate all. And when they go out, the Portuguese Grand Prix is underway. A bit of a wheelie away from the line for Fabio. From Rins with Miller in 3rd, and Marquez now in 4th place, thinking about attacking Miller, and he does do so. And Marquez already into 3rd. Miller tries to ride around the outside, but he's sat up by Marquez, and that's going to allow Mir through into 4th. Excellent start from pole position. He wanted to get away at the front. It's not going to be. He's top Yamaha in 6th place ahead of Frankie Moore.
He had to back out of it. Whoa, Mir's straight away under Marquez in turn 10.
Oh, no love lost already between them. From the world champion. The Suzuki does get away well, doesn't it? Ducati, yes, might have all its whole shot devices, but so does Sai.
Well, yeah, Miguel Oliveira is currently in 12th place. The man who, well, led every lap and just checked.
A shocking start, Neil, because he started 11th, crossed the line in 11th, and actually just back to 12th. Marquez is sat up. Was that
just runs in and touches the back, as we see all
Mir. If they weren't friends before, that's getting worse and worse by the minute, isn't it? The relationship between the pair of them. Fabio up 13 as they drop down towards 14 once more. It's a Ducati from 2 Suzukis. It looks like Espargaro is attacking. Question marks about Mark having been out for a year. Have the others raised their game? Have they risen to the challenge? Will they be Frankie Morbidelli trying to hold off the South African? And he does so well, the Italian.
And does Binder come back into turn 3? Start with
as his countryman leads, but Jack Miller attacking down into turn 5. Is Jack going to run it deep? He has to, surely. And he's carrying that bit more pace through there.
Yeah, it's just the nature of that corner, Gav. When you go downhill into turn 5, if you outbrake somebody.
Nuki, here comes Rins again in turn 13.
He had a look, didn't he, on the previous lap? Oh!
As they come. Championship leader, let's not forget, and showing just what he's made of. Look at this from at the top of the screen to turn 1, past Juan Mir.
Yeah, what's happening with Marquez? Like I said, everyone can see he's not obviously at this moment in time. Go.
He's thought about it a couple of times. Turn 3, Rins is desperate to get past. He wants to get out front and try and check Rins. And has he learnt from Qatar, where he waited around? He felt a bit too long.
Well, what we're seeing, we've only seen 2 flying laps.
Even with the hard tyre, and that's
here we go. Third time lucky.
Is he going to run wide though? Zarco tries to stick on the outside this time, maybe.
Mirror signal manoeuvre. Is he past? I think he is.
He just went the outside.
Is he past?
He just stuck on the outside, isn't it? From the Aprilia up to 5th place now.
Yeah. And if he finishes there, that'll be his best ever finish, won't it?
It'll be Aprilia's best in the race run. Oh, and it's Paul Espargaro who's going to retire. He had a massive crash yesterday, but it doesn't look physical. Looks like a...
On his Maverick Vinales. Oh, here we go, Rins again, and his favourite spot. Maverick Vinales is down in 20th place. Here we go. No.
And on the brakes this time, Fabio Quartararo's gone. Someone has crashed out here, and it's one of the Ducatis. Is it Miller? I think it might be Jack Miller.
Yeah, it's Miller.
And he's looking up as if he might have been
fast.
In 5th, there he is.
Yeah, So, yeah, it was. As soon as he got on the brakes, a really strange one.
Quartararo Mir is your 1, 2, 3 in this race.
Me.
Did you?
No. I'll tell you what, though,
Aleix Espargaro on the Aprilia is coming, and he's bringing with him company in the form of Frankie Morbidelli, who was on the podium.
Down.
What a disaster for the Portuguese fans, who unfortunately can't be here. They welcome Miguel Oliveira in at the start of the weekend. And it's in there, and Banyak is going to come through. So Marc Marquez drops to 9th place. Got that wrong, didn't he, in turn 1? And you do feel...
Obviously, we know that's what he's lacking at the moment.
Here's Morbidelli, who's gone through on Aleix Espargaro. Already rumblings about him not happy with...
Downhill on the brakes. Yeah, went pretty early as well.
Regular more. The undulations of this circuit make it such a spectacular venue. Oliveira's remounted. Definitely not what the dentist ordered. So, at the front, Rins from Fabio Quartararo to brave it. But it's right in the slot for that tyre now, isn't it? And Rins does go wide there. He'll hang on through turn 4. Something in hand towards the end of the race, having run the hard tyre. And Zarco just went too deep in there.
I mean, he was deep. On line 4, that Suzuki just pulls it tight, right straight underneath him.
Here's Morbidelli chipping to the point where the Suzuki have their pace in the 40s. If they go too much quicker, there's nothing left at the end of it.
He wants to force their hand.
It feels so wide and open from Rins, but he's just aiming for that late apex, isn't he? Quartararo down into turn 1, and he is going to go through, you know, Neil. He is. Fabio Quartararo is going to take over. Is he going to be able to hang on to it?
The weekend has been Fabio Quartararo, fast and consistent. This next lap time is going to tell us the story of the race.
If he can pull away in this instance. Talk us through this start, Neil, from
watch his jump. It's a good jump, initial jump. It gets away and you think, oh, it's like...
Vinales, who's currently running in 17th. Remember, he started down in 12th on the grid.
Oh, did he clip something off?
Strange one, wasn't it? But doesn't seem to be affecting Quartararo. Rins, or does Mir have the kind of pace to try and fight back? Rins, I felt Mir had more.
Comments were, this feels like my own 2019 bike. Look at that. Fastest lap of the race, into the 39.
Feeling. It's a satellite bike, the one he left last year, Johan Zarco, who leads the championship. Remember, he was on the...
A long race for Marc Marquez. He's slipped back. So he's in 9th place. He's about 0.7 behind Aleix Espargaro.
But then it's Marc Marquez on the bike, isn't it?
Yeah. So what's impressive on this lap now, Rins has actually regrouped a little bit, hasn't he? And
making progress in this race. Brad Binder is going to run maybe a little bit wide through there. Later apex from him.
Yeah, he's a proper racer, isn't he? You can't help but feel for KTM, though. They must be disappointed. We're here at the 3rd round. I mean, miles off winning a race, don't they?
They really do. Pit Byra down there. The boss of KTM, former Moto. We can be in the mix. We won this race last year. We should be there. But they've not been happy, have they, with the choice of tyres that they've been given at the end. They just don't want that, do
No,
they?
and what we've seen with the KTM, they make their lap time on the brakes, in the braking zones.
This race back since the Jerez Spanish Grand Prix. Remember, he did go out in the Andalusia Grand Prix a week later.
Everyone did a lot of laps around there. It got sort of confusing for a lot of the riders, changing the settings, trying to understand the feeling. But as soon as he could feel the sensation, and that's another 39.
It is.
1 minute 39.8.
But you know what? Behind him, Neil, 13.5 laps as Banyak makes his way through on Brad Binder and up into 6th place. Remember, Banyak...
Just looking down in 16th place, we've talked about Vinales for years, the man who won the first race of the year. We know he's had that
tyre for him. He's going to say about rear grip, and that was the worry, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And why people had stayed away from it. They seem more, and you just feel, I reckon after the race, you'll speak to Vinales, I didn't have the grip I needed in the rear.
The bit I don't understand about, and his last lap 30 was a 1 minute 40.3. Well, he still hasn't even achieved that.
Absolutely, you're right. But Vinales seems to have a pace on a tyre that had, you know, been used to try. Yeah, you do feel like the late switch is going to cost him. It isn't costing Quartararo, making it work. Started to close in on his pal, Frankie Morbidelli.
Decent lap time again with both these races. Just seems to suit his riding style. Looks a bit more relaxed, not as stressed. Second here in the race last year, 12 months ago, well, not 12 months ago, 5 months ago, Jack Miller that is, for him to crash out of the race.
Pretty much the gap between the two Suzuki riders. You just feel Quartararo can keep going at this. There, Fabio Quartararo, 139.6, and that could be the one that breaks the back of this race.
And the Suzuki 10s, lap after lap. Look at his heart rate. He's trying. Throughout practice, so his heart rate, he was averaging around probably one.
Safely in turn 5 ahead of Johan Zarco on the top Ducati. Banyak still in behind. Also because he didn't get the lightning start you might expect from Banyak.
The Ducati. He's so fast. That's
Zarco on that previous couple of laps. He's just sat in behind Mir. And he's just pulled the pin, hasn't he? Out of the final corner, nailed it.
39.5, Gav. Rins is feeling it today.
Yeah, only went quicker during qualifying, did Rins, and even then it was only 7.
Check out, really, and win by 4 seconds.
He's got to find a way to at least show the wheel, try and upset Rins in Qatar, sat behind in both races, sat behind, didn't he? Sat there waiting at a much better pace than Vinales, for example.
Just past his brother, so, yeah, I think the two are related.
So Rossi out of this one. Horrible start to the year for him.
Yeah, unfortunately it's a sign of the times when we're saying he's having a good... Left edge is worn quite a lot. The right side looks okay, actually.
They are asymmetric, aren't they, the rear tyres? Harder edge on Brad Binder behind him. So it's a case of don't think about behind, have a go in front.
Yeah, just so you know, though, that was already...
Well, isn't it?
Yeah, so up through Craig Jones, it levels off, there's no camber here, so that's so easy to do. We've seen that catch a lot of people out this weekend.
During practice was one. Just over 9 laps remaining. Oh, this is interesting, Neil. Track limits warning for Frankie Morbidelli, and another one, actually. And it's a clear issue.
And that's what we learned.
Oh, and Maverick Vinales is getting a track limits warning also. So 2 of the Yamahas.
Side. In the past, you always knew, Gav, when you'd gone off the curb, you can feel it. You can feel the edge of the slow-mo footage, and obviously the sensors in the curb detected that a part of his tyre did actually touch it. So it is difficult.
Direction will say, just to be a bit of a stickler about it.
But with
we're definitely getting a better Portuguese Grand Prix in terms of the lead, aren't we, than we did 5 months ago. We did get a great...
Marquez has managed to get into some sort of rhythm now. Now, with less than 10 laps to go, I think he could see the finish line. His lap times at the front, Gav.
Almost identical, 1,000 separating Quartararo and Rins. But Rins are pulled away from the field.
Maximum respect here for both these riders at the front. Quartararo is throwing everything at it. A little bit of fight occasionally. Well, he's proving it that he's got it today. Good to see.
He's keeping the pressure on. That's one thing. That's a big thing, isn't it? As they plunge through Craig Jones' corner up to the top. This is where Valentino...
Yes, he is. But every time you see your pit board and that gap stays the same, or it's coming down a fraction, every lap that goes big lead, you're constantly battling with these inner thoughts.
Do you know what other inner thoughts, though, he'll get if he can do this?
Well, unfortunately, we're seeing the same Maverick Vinales has appeared in 2021.
And all those positive words we've heard before the start.
For an answer to solve his problems, but unfortunately, you can't replicate being in a race, in a pressure situation. And what we've seen
is having a day to forget, and it's Alex Rins.
Whoa.
I don't believe it. From second place, we're saying all these lovely things about...
Got to give him the respect that he wasn't prepared to finish second, fighting hard. And it's an easy corner to crash, downhill, off. I feel for him.
You've got to feel for Alex Rins in this situation. Do you know what he's done there? He's not settled, has he? He's not said, I can't...
He's going to look at his pit board, look at that, Rins out. You've got 3.8 seconds. Basically, you can knock half a second the lap off. And he
pushed on the pace. Rins tried to respond, but he'd broken him. And we talked about broken his spirit. Unfortunately, he broke his fight. He's not going to score points, even if he wanted to. Right, we go on board with Johan Zarco and Pecco Bagnaia from 11th on the grid.
Absolutely. Well, he should have been starting from pole position if he had not gone past that yellow flag. But yeah, he looked fast all weekend. Certainly had the...
Put in some really hard work.
Oh,
and Zarco's gone. Championship leader is down.
I was just watching him, Gav. I saw the down.
Fabio Quartararo not only will take over the lead in the championship, but it will 21 points, the gap between them. Let's go on board and watch this one, Neil.
Over the crest, it flattens out.
Yeah.
You see the back fishtailing. Oh, you saw it. Give him the warning sign. It literally said, the front tyre talks to you. You brake in and it's going
flap. And who can blame him?
Who can blame? What a feeling that is, Gav. When you go over the line and you see, you basically go over the line and you think, I've got this. Stay with Quartararo, but he dug in, he grit his teeth. And eventually just pushed over that limit.
And it had to be at turn 5.
Vicious Spargo, he's currently in 6th place, just 0.7 of a second behind 5th Brad Binder, has set his fastest lap, and he's in it, bodies. Just do, 5 laps to go, 5 qualifying laps.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just bite the screen.
Quartararo, 5-second lead, just under, ahead of Pecco Bagnaia with 4 laps to go in the Portugal.
Fighting.
Well, they are all closing in too, as you saw there. Morbidelli nearly 2 tenths quicker than Mir. Mir has struggled, hasn't he, later on in this? He's running it till the end of the race. The Ducati for some reason they seem to be able to get a softer tyre on the rear.
Long walk back into your pit. Nothing to be ashamed of. Easily done.
It was yawing, wasn't it?
It was. Okay, if you'd have finished fourth, you'd still lead in the championship. It's like, but then if you drop back, the team then complain. Actually, the reality don't.
3 laps to go when they cross the line. Quartararo in these final 3 laps. I'm chuffed for Frankie Morbidelli, I have to say, after a rotten start to the year with the problems he had in the first race, media at the way they started the season, criticism at Yamaha for not giving Frankie the factory.
Irritating me. I can't hide it.
Not subtle, is it?
No.
It's not a coded message, is it? From probably understood it. Quartararo's on top of the world and challenging for the championship. As we go on board with Banyak looking back at me, the factory team. So what am I doing here? What other options are there for me? And you can't blame him for exploring them. The good news is able to make work. So Banyak, just a little wobble from him as they head through 2 and up towards a tight gap to not come under pressure from Mir or Morbidelli. But Morbidelli again on that last lap, dipping into the 139s. Any dramatic mistake from him in these last couple of laps, but his lap times are in the 140s and comfortable.
Gavin Field, will he be able to cope with the pressure? But he seems different. All the feedback about this new motorcycle, this new chassis, this
actually about sports psychologist. He said he has been so honest. I loved it how he spoke at the start of the year as Banyak a little bit last year. The prospect of leading a championship, I'd never done it. It's not like Mir, not like Marquez, who've won them in the lower classes, and talk it through, and it seems to have it working. I tell you what, Pecco Banyak has responded, hasn't he?
He has. But at this moment in time, no one's close enough to have a lunge. If they do, it will not end good at all. So it.
Majestic, hasn't he? Inch perfect this time in Portugal for Fabio Quartararo. Remember the race from him? Well, in true champion style, hasn't he, Fabio Quartararo? Never a Grand Prix world champion, but he's going to leave the port. It's going to stay this way as they come through the penultimate corner for the final time. Brilliant ride from Marc Marquez, the magic man, on his return. Meanwhile, at the front, Fabio Quartararo celebrates back-to-back wins on the Yamaha. Banyak is second, out of racing action, takes a very solid 7th place. All credit to Taka Nakagami for fighting through the occasion where Rossi and Lorenzo, they dominated. That was the period of Yamaha domination in this championship, and your chip challenge is on the cards.
It really is, Gav. That Yamaha always works well around Jerez, and like you said, winning both.
It's going to work. So it's a fantastic start to the year for Yamaha. 3 wins for them, but 2 to Quartararo.
But we've seen it before. I can't believe
that's making a decision based on what other people are doing, isn't it?
Yeah. I think fair play. Shout out to Aprilia. Fair play to them. They've worked hard. Kind of celebration.
Do you think he's
happy?
happy?
New chassis, new engine, new swinging arm, new aero package. Yes, it worked in Qatar, but we know Alesia's a bit special around there. Well,
I want to point out Enea Bastianini, who had a personal best lap on the last lap of the race, and 9th place for Bastianini. The
10 finish. Fair play.
How's he going to be feeling now? He said before, I feel he's been really honest about it, knowing what his arm's capable of, a little bit of work on the muscle.
I was about to say, would you bet against him being on the podium at the next race? Like, he can't even move that arm. Onto these Porsche GP bikes, they are violent.
With different muscles than you normally would. He's riding. Michael spotted
in 2 weeks' time.
Credit to the world champion, Joan Mir, picks up some vital championships. No.
Yeah, suffer, and that's the aftermath of. But I can't explain.
Is he nice? Is he a smiling? Or is it off camera, or is it all for show? None of this is for show. I can tell you, I can promise cycling with racing again. And that effort will stand him in such good stead as the race goes on. You can see.
He's only young anyway, Fabio Quartararo, but he looks 10 years younger. Just relaxed, the relief. Unreal.
That's for Joan Mir. For him, that's his 8th post. Our 14th in the first, progress through from Brad Binder, and actually I do feel when we get to place
Petrucci was 13th, but how many seconds behind?
Yeah, he was 23 behind.
All round there, Gav, really, with those 3.
Got to feel for Miguel Oliveira, haven't you? He was coming here as lauded as
my crew chief, Frankie. Tomo made a really good job. We are here on the podium, so it's a really good reward.
The race has been very strong, and I couldn't manage to overtake a lot of riders. For me last year was very difficult, so I'm very happy.
Watching, and it will be a great celebration for my birthday in 2 days.